Now, the vast majority of women believe that menstrual health affects their working life, and there needs to be an awareness and educational campaign for employers to put supports in place for women who are employed by them. Let's speak now to Mandy La Combre, Senior Industrial Relations Officer with the Financial Services Union, that's the FSU, which carried out a survey on this. There was over 1,000 respondents. The vast majority of them were women. Good morning to you, Mandy, and thanks for joining us on the programme to talk about what has traditionally not been spoken about.
Good morning, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're very welcome. I suppose it's no surprise that women are very familiar with the problems associated with working when they're going through their menstrual cycle. Are you surprised that their employers are not?
Well, I suppose just a bit of background, Michael, on this. During the month of March this year, to mark International Women's Day, the Financial Services Union launched a workplace survey throughout our sector. So our sector would be the finance sector and the tech sector, just on how menstrual health impacts working women. Obviously, we know that historically it's largely been ignored in the workplace, and that would be kind of due to social taboos and gender stereotyping, and how menstruation in general has been stigmatized in society, which spills over into the workplace. But there are several specific medical conditions associated with periods that are impacting working women because they have extremely debilitating side effects. And some of them would be things like endometriosis and PCOS. And 1 in 10 women currently in the Republic of Ireland suffer from endometriosis. Our union is actually 67% female membership. And we also have a women's network in our union of activists. And we had previously done a huge amount of work on menopause policies and surveying our members. So our activists in our union were saying, okay, FSU had been leading the way in the workplace on menopause. Why can we not have a look at menstrual health in general?
Right, explain it to us. Explain it to us, will you? I'm always uncomfortable talking about the menstrual cycle or periods because I'm a man on the radio. But explain it to the men. What is endometriosis?
So endometriosis would be a medical condition, and it's around the lining of your womb, and it would have painful side effects. Now, we're talking about women who would have this, where when they have their period every month, they would be really debilitated with pain. I mean, you're talking like they can't move, they can't go out, they would have heavy periods and stuff. So we're not really talking about a policy that is bringing in a lot of special needs for women every month who are having having periods every month. We're not talking about, time off every month for every woman or anything. We're talking about bringing policies in that will make...
This is extreme pain that really impacts on every aspect of your life. Pelvic pain, pain during sex, pain and discomfort going to the toilet, bleeding from your bottom, feeling tired all of the time, apparently.
Yeah, it is. But it's important to say that 96% of the women surveyed all welcome a support policy in the workplace. So this is not just for extreme circumstances. It's about having consideration for extreme circumstances, but it's also about creating an environment in which workers can openly and honestly initiate and kind of engage in discussions about periods, right? So it's whether it's about having a comfortable and inclusive workplace, but it's also about breaking the stigma and talking about it, because the type of things that we would be looking for in policies are really around some reasonable accommodation of special leave, as I said, for people with the severe medical conditions, but also around that, a guarantee that those absences related to those medical conditions don't trigger attendance improvement plans or performance improvement plans. But that's an important piece. But generally speaking, overall for women, 9 out of 10 of the women that we surveyed said that menstrual health affects their working life. So we would be looking for flexibilities around, an option to work from home if you have a bad period, flexibility around working hours, additional rest breaks if you need to take medication. And then there would also be, simple kind of environmental supports that employers can do around office temperature, desk fans, breathable uniform fabrics. There's a lot of things that are very, very simple asks for employers.
Are men interested? I mean, you've won this argument before you even start with women, but are men at all interested?
Yeah, well, we have obviously a lot of male members as well. We have a lot of male members on sector committees, etc., in our union who are very interested in taking this forward. Our survey says that almost half of the women are kind of not comfortable talking about this in the workplace because of the gender of their managers. Now, we're speaking to managers and we're speaking to men in the workplace as well, and they're saying to us that they don't know, just like what you said, Michael, we don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah, right? Because I've always thought it's none of my business.
Yeah, well, they feel uncomfortable, and that is why there's a need for a policy. If there's a policy in the workplace, a manager can refer to the policy. It's openly spoken about in the workplace, and then
or doesn't have to be spoken about because there's a policy in place.
Well, you may need to go and speak to your manager if you need support. So that's okay. But the manager will have something to refer to. It's not embarrassing. He can actually even refer the person to the menstrual health workplace policy. So it just gets that conversation going and gets it started. And I think this is very early days in the Republic of Ireland to be talking about periods in the workplace. And I think the fact that there's an awful lot of groundwork being done on the menopause work, that, I think we're kicking an open door. We're already speaking to employers in our sector who are telling us that we're kicking an open door with this. So this isn't off the wall stuff. This is stuff, women are really valued in the workplace. There's a lot of, I suppose, clear financial benefits for employers to adopt policies like this, considering the needs of women, because it's about retaining your experienced and valued staff. And, it also helps the staff themselves to manage their conditions, having these policies in place, and reduces the likelihood of long-term sick absence. And, there's so many positives around this as well that it seems like a kind of a no-brainer.
It does to a large degree. But I think there's been a traditional view that, this is life. Get on with it. I think in life that women probably got a raw deal when the Creator, whatever that means, was looking at mankind because the inevitable solution to bad periods is the menopause. And I'm not sure anybody would want to swap one for the other, no?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, women have had it probably particularly difficult in the workplace around this stuff. And I think that, especially over the last maybe 10 years in particular, women are really getting their voices heard in the workplace. There's a lot of work being done on a lot of different issues. We particularly in our union have done a huge amount of work on the domestic violence leave stuff, the menopause stuff. We're doing stuff on the gender pay gap. There's an awful lot of things now where women are really speaking out. I mean, if you think about traditionally, historically, when women were looking for supports in the workplace, it used to be things around maternity leave. And, the counter argument for that at the time was, oh, well, if you bring in maternity leave, employers just won't employ women. Well, that didn't happen. I mean, we have more women in the workforce than ever. Maternity leave has been improved. And women are staying in the workplace longer. So.
And women are women and what that means. But so stop the stigma is what you're saying. We have to leave it there. Thank you indeed for joining us this morning. That's Mandy La Combre, Senior Industrial Relations Officer with the FSU, the Financial Services Union.